I want to tell you a little bit about a congressional hearing that took place today, though, that you should know about. The acting director of the Secret Service, a fellow called Ronald Rowe, he completely lost his composure today when he was testifying on Capitol Hill. As a frequent guest of this program, Congressman Pat Fallon had a few choice questions for him. Here's how that exchange went.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. So actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the sack of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero.
Now, by the way, what they're responding to is there's a picture of Ronald Rowe standing at the 9/11 memorial service this past year in the midst of this huge crisis over why the heck is President Trump being shot at, and where's the Secret Service to stop that? Ronald Rowe just appears at this 9/11 memorial service, and Pat Fallon wants to know, were you there working, or was this a publicity stunt?
I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. Mm-hmm. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
Were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect for a Secret Service member that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
and you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question.
Please.
You are out of line, Congressman.
Don't try to bully me. I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are playing politics.
I am a public servant who has served this nation, and
you won't answer the question.
On our country's darkest day.
Committee will come to order. Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that day?
No, I wasn't. I was there representing the United States Secret Service, sir.
Mr. Fallon, your time's expired.
It did not affect protective operations.
You know why you were there? Because you wanted to be visible, because you are auditioning for this job.
I was there to pay respect for a fallen member of this agency.
You endangered President Biden's life, Vice President Harris's life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr. Chairman.
You have a radio with you?
Mr. Fallon, your time has expired.
I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman.
Finally, just say it, fellas. Just enough of the theatrics. Okay, joining us now to explain what we just heard, Susan Crabtree, the Real Clear Politics White House National Political Correspondent, is on the phone. Susan, great to have you back with us.
Thanks for having me, Vince.
Okay, so that was quite a moment. And what was Ronald Rowe even attempting to do there?
He was deflecting is what he was doing, because I had heard about this incident. There's a lot of resentment over it, that he moved. He was supposed to be there, but he wasn't supposed to be as close and in the center of the photo op, the ceremony by the President Biden, because he's not operational. So the head of the detail of both the presidential detail, Biden's detail, and Vice President Harris' detail should be very close to them. And in fact, they were, several rows away. And I had heard, just months ago, and I didn't report it because I was under a deluge of information at that point, that he orchestrated that Ron Rowe wanted himself in the photo op up close to the president, because he's basically auditioning for the director job. And at that point, he hadn't gone downhill as far as it did today. I feel like this one is the outburst there was really out of control.
And the other piece of that is probably he wanted FaceTime with Biden in order to push that issue, because, everyone values their time with the president. And if you get to stand right up close to him at a 9/11 event, perhaps you can bend his ear a little bit.
Correct. I heard he was networking at the event. He claims that he had his gun and his radio. That's because Pat Fallon asked him that. I am told afterwards that is very dubious, that Secret Service sources telling me he didn't have an earpiece in that day. He may have had his gun, but you can't tell that. But he certainly didn't have an earpiece, meaning he didn't have his radio. So if he lied, that's a problem, and they're not answering that question. My question to them, they responded right away with a response about the details of his service after 9/11, but they did not say whether he was operational. They keep saying that it did not hurt protection that day. Well, how do we know? Because we analyzed the exiting, the very slow exiting from the stage, and that sort of Keystone Cops moments where the woman agent couldn't holster her gun.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of criticism from that, from a wide variety of sources on Butler on July 13th at the Butler rally. So a few months later, instead of having the operational people closest to the president and vice president, he put himself there without an earpiece so that you can't keep track of the threats if you don't have an earpiece in.
Yeah, you would think if you're going to have a Secret Service official close to the president, it would be for his protection. Okay, so I saw some of your tweets on this subject. There were other elements of his exchange with Pat Fallon that caught your attention as well, and Ronald Rowe. That involves what was going on at the Butler rally and the Iranian threat to Donald Trump. What can you tell us?
Yes. Well, this hearing was very, I thought it was very ho-hum, kind of a regurgitation, and the members were being very deferential to Ron Rowe. And that flies in the face of what I'm hearing from the rank and file, that they believe he was part of the problem and got promoted, that he was a part of the denials of the repeated denials from the top leadership at the Secret Service of extra security for Donald Trump for nearly 2 years. And then he got a promotion out of it. And they're furious about that. And they were not, none of the members of, until Pat Fallon had his questioning, did they bring that up. So Pat Fallon must have gotten him a little bit on edge, because he was asking, so you're the second most senior after Kimberly Cheadle, who resigned after her testimony. He's the second most senior. Why did he know about the Iranian threat? He refused to say. He said in the classified saying he can't say that. Well, that is ridiculous, because it has been confirmed over and over and over again that there is an Iranian threat against Donald Trump, and the FBI has arrested people and charged them. So to deny that he just didn't want to say that he knew, because he knew where the questions were heading, that he did not authorize a counter-surveillance unit. He didn't authorize a full counter-assault team, which is like a special operators. They're the most elite team in the Secret Service for that Butler rally, despite knowing that there was a very tangible, distinct Iranian threat against the president. So he didn't like that line of questioning, and that came just before this. But I thought it was softball up until that moment.
Yeah.
And then you had the Secret Service.
It's so disheartening to see that. This guy deserves all the scrutiny in the world. And is it true in the Secret Service, usually when we talk about the deputy secretary or the deputy director of an agency, usually they're the guys handling most of the day-to-day operations of the organization, right?
Yes, and in this case, Mike Platty, who was the head of the protective operations, which was the one that technically denied the extra security, he's retiring now. He's out the door. But I have heard from numerous sources that all of those three of those people, Kimberly Cheadle, Ron Rowe, they all had discussions about treating Donald Trump as a former president that didn't deserve all of the assets that I just talked about, that a president would receive, or someone under imminent threat like he was. So he was involved in all of those decisions. And in fact, he's the one that instituted the decision to not authorize anything for a former president before. This is when he was in that role that Mike Platty took over. So he's involved, and he's told me he's not involved. He's told members of Congress that he's not involved in those decisions. But that's not what I'm hearing. And they need to really answer those questions, and they will not. They will not answer those questions for me.
No. Okay. Well, please keep asking them. I know you will. Thank you so much for your time, as always, today. Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics. Great to talk to you. Thank you.